This is your host, Job Moraga from Marang Spiritual Ministries. Brothers and sisters, today I want to talk about something that I witnessed the other day at the shopping complex where I normally shop at. And what I saw there was at the very least appalling. The treatment that some people mete out at others without knowing them is appalling. I saw a gentleman seated in a very expensive car, and inside that car there was a toddler. He must have been 3, 4, 5 years old. The toddler was still in a school uniform. And then there was a car guard. I think those of you brothers and sisters who live in South Africa would know what I'm talking about. Who are the car guards? These are the people who, for reward, basically, they don't force anybody. They look after our cars when we go into complexes, into shops and all of that. And most of them are our brothers from the neighboring African countries. And the gentleman, the car guard for the day was a gentleman, I believe, from Burundi. And this gentleman was leaning into the vehicle. There was somebody seated in the vehicle, a gentleman, and then he was with his toddler there. And then as I walked past his car, I noticed that this expensive car, it must have been a Porsche or a Ferrari. Sometimes I cannot differentiate between, these expensive, luxurious cars. But these are cars that are worth approximately $1.5 to 2 million. And I saw a white gentleman, and he started screaming, and I thought he was screaming at me because he said, "Don't be that guy, don't be that guy." And I thought, what guy? What is he talking about? Don't be that guy who parks at the... Well, before I could even hear that he was talking about a parking bay, he spoke about the disabled parking bay, and I thought maybe I had walked past a disabled parking bay and I have upset somebody and all of that. I didn't understand until the other gentleman who was in this nice car replied and said, "But why are you screaming at me? How do you know that I am not disabled?" And this white guy didn't want to listen. He kept on saying, "Don't be that guy, don't be that guy." Anyway, I went into the shop, and the white guy went into the shop. And while I was shopping, my spirit was troubled because I kept on thinking that the guy looked so sincere. The guy who had parked that expensive car at the disabled parking bay, he probably was disabled. But remember, he was inside the car. I couldn't see anything. So anyway, I see this toddler now. He's walking. They entered into the shop as well. They are in the shop with this gentleman, the car guard. I was wondering, who in his right mind sends his toddler, a 3-year-old, into a shop with a stranger whereby there were many exit doors. I mean, they could exit in any of the doors. Who does that with his card, a bank card, to go and buy some stuff? So I started paying attention to this toddler and also to the gentleman, the car guard who was with the toddler. They bought stuff, and I delayed my exit as well just to see what is going on here. I delayed my exit, I bought stuff, I waited for them. And then when they were done and they were walking towards the car, now you can imagine, brothers and sisters, the car had 2 doors. So ultimately the driver now had to open the driver's door. So as he opened the door and he took his legs out of the door, I nearly shed a tear, brothers and sisters, because I just knew that that white guy was a narcissist. I didn't even want to think about him being a racist. I just believe that he's a narcissist, because how do you just challenge somebody that you don't know and you just assume that they are not what they are? How do you do that? And that got me thinking, brothers and sisters. I thought about many people who have been derailed in their ministry, many people who have been derailed in their calling, their purpose, because they listen to parrots like that guy. They listen to sheep. They listen to sheep. I learned one lesson from the altercation between the gentleman in the car and also the white gentleman, who was like distressed about the whole parking thing. I learned one thing, brothers and sisters. I learned that it is true. Eagles do not lose sleep over parrots. I mean, he spoke once. He just said, "How do you know? How do you know that I'm not disabled?" And that is where he left it. I learned that eagles do not lose sleep over parrots. I also learned, brothers and sisters, that probably that is the reason why lions also do not lose sleep over sheep. A sheep's opinion, a parrot's opinion, shouldn't make you lose sleep, brothers and sisters. They will always talk, and their talk is going nowhere. They don't understand what they are saying. They think they are in charge. They think that they know better. And when I saw that, I was almost in tears. I never doubted the gentleman, by the way. I just knew that anybody who sends his toddler into a shop with a stranger, I could hear the conversation as they spoke, to say that, please go with my son, and I just knew that he was telling the truth. So, brothers and sisters, there is this book called, not this way. There is this book called The Art of War by Sun Tzu. This is obviously not a religious book. This is obviously not a spiritual book. This is the book that they normally use at business schools for MBA students, just to outline the whole strategy. If we all had a glimpse of this book, and we understood to look at the terrain and think about every possible opportunity before we could jump into conclusions. We respect people for who they are, and we respect people for what they say. I mean, I was just wondering whether, if this particular white gentleman felt so strongly that somebody had taken a disabled parking and they had able bodies, I'm just wondering the way he was masquerading as, an enforcer of some sort, whether he shouldn't have just taken a walk to the guy and said, "Let me see for myself," instead of screaming and shouting and making a fool of himself, because the gentleman in that vehicle was truly, truly disabled. So, brothers and sisters, my message to you is that learn something from this particular gentleman. I don't know his name, but learn something. As I have learned something. I have learned that sometimes it is better to ignore the narcissist. Sometimes it is better to ignore the parrots. Sometimes it is better to ignore the sheep, because they've got nothing to do. They will stress you. They will derail you. They will call you names. They will insult you, because they've got no sense of creativity. they've got no sense of revelation. They've got no sense of who they are. From Maran Spiritual Ministries, your host, Job Moraga,